It's record prediction time here at Seahawks Today, and we have got to get to the bottom of how many wins your Seattle Seahawks are going to have this year. Yes, I'm Will Ortner. Yes, I'm biased. I'm probably going to have the Seahawks a win or two too many, but that's okay. That's what being a fan is all about, and I cannot wait to jump into this season. That's why I'm already predicting games on a Sunday here, supporting the team, and I want you to support the Seattle Seahawks and support this channel. Don't be a hater. Give the Seattle Seahawks a nice big thumbs up and a like if you think the Seahawks are going to have another fantastic year and get into the playoffs. Now, let's get into the video. According to Sharp Football Analysis, that's Warren Sharp's company, they believe that the Seattle Seahawks have the 13th easiest schedule in the NFL next year. And as you kind of run through the schedule, just like I did earlier today when I was creating this video, I kind of found myself thinking, well, shoot, that might not be the 13th easiest schedule. It might be an even easier schedule than what I was thinking of before, because I think some of the so-called experts and the Vegas odds makers don't give the Seattle Seahawks enough credit and give some of the other teams way too much credit. When I look at Seattle's over-under right now in Vegas, you know, I'm a gambling man. Every once in a while, I might responsibly throw down a couple units or two, see if I can't win myself some extra money. And if I lose some, well, that's why you gamble responsibly. When Vegas odd makers look at the Seattle Seahawks, they're saying they're not going to win more than 7 games this year, with their number being at 7.5. I think that is insanely too low. Let me know in the comments. Do you agree with me? Type yes. If you don't agree with me, type no. In my eyes, I don't know how this Seattle Seahawks team got 3 games worse than they were last year. I think that they might even be a little bit better. So as we go through the record prediction, obviously a week from now, your Seattle Seahawks, they're going to be taking on the San Francisco 49ers at home. Make sure that Lumen Field is rocking and rolling. I got my Seahawks, our Seahawks, with a victory in that game. Why is that? The 49ers have so many injuries at that wide receiver position. They're pulling players off the scrap heap. One player we already got rid of to come in and try and help their team succeed and have another good year. I just don't see it. When you get beat up and it's a constant reoccurring theme year after year after year, I just don't trust you. I don't trust your medical staff. And I think that Seattle's time has finally come and the 49ers' time is finally past. Now I'm looking at the next game. You're taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Call me cynical. Call me crazy. I don't believe in Aaron Rodgers. He's like, what, ancient? 45, 48, 50? He might be 80 by the time I get done with this breakdown. I know he's like 41 or whatever it really is. I don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be good enough to beat you. They're going to try to play the exact same game that you play. They are going to beat you up physically up front. I think your O-line is better. They are going to try and use their defense to shut you down. If you can find a way to slow down TJ Watt and mirror this run game up with the pass game, you're going to have an opportunity in the fourth quarter to win this game. This will not be a blowout game. You have to knock them, sock them, and rock them if you want to win it. I think that Seattle will have that opportunity and will win this. Now, you might say to yourself, Will, you have the Seahawks 2-0. There's no way you could have them 3-0, correct? You'd be wrong, producer Reed. I've got the Seahawks 3-0. They're taking on the New Orleans Saints. You think that Spencer Rattler is going to stop this Seattle Seahawks team? You think that Spencer Rattler, the guy who you saw in that stupid Netflix doc, is going to come in to Lumen Field and throw the ball all over the yard? You think that even if New Orleans makes the smart move and benches Spencer Rattler for Tyler Shuck, you think Tyler Shuck can get this game won? The guy can't even pronounce his own name the correct way. There's no shot that New Orleans comes into Lumen Field and wins. I might have to put a hoagie bet on that one and buy some lunch for people. Maybe our fantastic social producer here, our social media manager, Tracy Gerard, he runs our Saints channel. Maybe we'll have to have a lunch bet on that one. Maybe I'll owe him something if the Saints somehow pull off a miracle. I just don't see that happening. Now, against Arizona, this is where things get funky. I would love to come in here and tell you that the Seattle Seahawks are going to go 17-0 and they'll never lose a game. And those Dolphins from the 70s are all going to be upset because there's finally an undefeated team. That's not going to happen with this Seahawks team. It's a tough game. It's a Thursday night matchup against Arizona. It's in Arizona. You always play the Cardinals weird. And what are the Cardinals known for? They start the year hot. The new Call of Duty hasn't come out yet, so Kyler Murray is completely locked in on all things football. While I might not be the biggest buyer of the Arizona Cardinals and their stupid rivalry unis, I do believe when I look at this Cardinals team that they can keep games close. The Seahawks, for whatever reason, they always seem to stub their toe against Arizona. I think that this is a good spot for a loss when it comes to the Seahawks, and it's a loss that you can kind of look at and go, it happens. Now you're taking on Tampa Bay week 5. This is one of those weird loss games that I have for you. I could be convinced either way, but when I was going through it and I had my initial prediction, I went, there's no way that the Seahawks only have 1 or 2 losses. So you have to kind of go back through, and it's like, well, Tampa isn't a bad team. You're going to have Mike Evans out there running roughshod. I like Bucky Irving. I'm biased. Oregon Duck. He runs the ball well. That offensive line isn't atrocious. Baker Mayfield, that's a guy you can get behind and root for. I just kind of look at that Tampa Bay game as, hey, it's going to be a close one. I already gave you a close one against Pittsburgh. I don't know that I can give you a close one against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So now you go through your first 5 games, and I don't hate the position that you're in. You're 3-2, and then you're taking on maybe the worst team in the South, or at least the team that I think is going to be the worst in the South, and that's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah, you're going on the road. Who freaking cares? I think that Trevor Lawrence is done. When you have multiple injuries to your throwing shoulder and you're a quarterback or a pitcher in the MLB, I just don't trust that you are going to come back and be the same type of player that you were. We've already seen Lawrence try and do that, and he hasn't been able to be that in the long run. I think that you dominate Jacksonville. I don't care that it's on the road. Week 7, you're taking on Houston. Another one where I felt like it could go either way. It's a Monday night matchup, so everyone's going to be locked in, ready to go. I worry about C.J. Stroud recovering and returning back to what he was his rookie year. I also look at that defense, and I think that they are underrated to say the least. You got a bunch of guys that aren't afraid to fly around. DeMeco Ryans, he's the head coach over there. He knows how to beat the Seahawks. Do not worry about him and what he's going to be able to do. I think that, look, a loss here to Houston, it just is what it is, and those things happen. Now, week 8, this is going to be one of the more difficult games for you, and that's when you play the BYE. It's a bye week. Now, you might look at yourself and go, ha, 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 Will's so funny. You need to win the bye week. You need to get healthy. You just had a brutal game against Houston on Monday night. Take the extra 13 days, really 6 days for that bye week, and then get prepared for the next one against Washington. Take that time, rest, and recover. You're taking on the Commanders in your next game, and that needs to be a win. I don't know if they're going to be able to get that done, but I think they might, and here's my reasoning for this. You're taking on a Commanders team that, if I remember correctly from their schedule, they're taking on the Kansas City Chiefs the week before. So do you think that they're going to be completely locked in for the Seahawks like they're going to be locked in for the Kansas City Chiefs? I don't know about you, but aside from the Philadelphia Eagles, there isn't a team that I care more about beating than that Kansas City Chiefs team if they were on the Seahawks schedule. You got to be loaded for bear, so I got to assume Washington's doing the exact same thing. You might be able to sneak up on them with that extra week of preparation. Now you're taking on the Cardinals again. This one's at home. You're taking care of business. I won't hear any other word about it. I won't hear anything from any hater. Arizona Cardinal, big fan. You're going to take care of business against the Cards. Week 10, it's at home. You win that game. You get some revenge. Now, I have the Seahawks at 6-3. We're going to call it the halfway-ish point of the year. I know my math's off a little bit. You're a little bit past halfway. I can be convinced that you could be 7-2. I could also be possibly convinced that you could be 5-4. I think it's fair that if you have, 3 to 4 toss-up games, which is about what we put for Seattle, if you win 2, lose 2, that's a pretty good spot. I like where the Seahawks are at, and this also puts you, if you're a responsible gambler and you bet on the over for the Seahawks, this puts you right on track to easily go over for that bet. Now, we're jumping into week 11. You're on the road. You're traveling to LA. I did mark this down as a loss. This is simply a Matt Stafford loss. Right now, I'm giving Matt Stafford the benefit of the doubt and Sean McVay because you are traveling to LA. Again, it always feels like in this division, the teams split with each other. And if you sweep one team, then some other team ends up sweeping you. With LA, if Matt Stafford is able to go and look like he did last year with how well that defense plays, specifically that defensive line, Seattle might fall on the road. It's a difficult place to play, not for the normal reasons, but it is LA and Sean McVay. Well, the guy's just frankly a genius. Now you're taking on Tennessee. I said that the Colts and the Jags, I said the Jags might be the worst team in the South. I might be wrong. The Tennessee Titans are horrific. They're not going to be very good. Stop Cam Ward. That's a win. Next. Minnesota Vikings. Not a buyer in J.J. McCarthy. I think this is a win for you. Again, it's another game that's going to be a rock'em sock'em type of football game. I know that the head guy over there, Kevin O'Connell, he's able to set quarterbacks up into situations to be successful. I still don't think that he's going to be able to set up McCarthy to be successful against you. I know that defense is strong. I know that defense is good. I think Seattle still comes out on top. Now you're going to play Atlanta. This is a sleeper team for me. I know that they've had some injuries on that offensive line. I believe they're going to lose their right tackle, Caleb McGarry, for the entire year, which is a bummer because he's a Washington kid, Battleground and Fife. Shout out Caleb McGarry. I still like this Atlanta team. You're on the road. It feels like the last couple of years against the Falcons, you found a way to win. I trust that Michael Penix, though, is going to be a step up. You got Kirk Cousins after he was going through some of his injury issues. So you were able to take advantage of that. I like the two edge rushers that the Falcons got in this draft. Watch out. I think the Falcons end up getting you. We're on the home stretch now. Week 15 against the Indianapolis Colts. Look, I know I said that the Tennessee Titans might be the worst team in the South. I also said that the Jags might be the worst team in the South. All right, the Colts might be the worst team in the South. It's really the Houston Texans in the South, in the AFC, and then everyone else is hot garbage. The Colts, I don't believe in it. You think Daniel Jones is going to come in and he's going to win a game in Lumen Field? You think Anthony Richardson, if he ends up becoming the starter at that point, is going to come in and win a game in Lumen Field? No shot. No shot. I think that the Seahawks win that one. Now you're going up against the Rams again. This is where we split. You get it at home. I think the Seahawks win this no matter what Matthew Stafford is out there for the Rams. If Matthew Stafford comes in and he turns into like what he was last year, hey, maybe it's a closer game. If he's absolutely horrific, I think there's a shot that you sweep both of those. And my prediction might not even be high enough. Now, this is where I think you get a weird sandwich game. And if it was college football, I would for sure be hammering a loss here for the Seahawks. I feel a little bit neutral when it comes to Carolina. I don't think that Carolina's great. I do think that Bryce Young has kind of figured some things out. And you have Carolina sandwiched between the Rams and the 49ers. When you have in-division games that are slightly going to mean more, and the rivalry games, so then you add another oomph to it, and you're going to add that I think that the Rams and 49ers could be challenging Seattle for a playoff spot, or those games are going to have major playoff implications for either of those teams, right? Whoever it is, Seattle, LA, or San Francisco. You might overlook Carolina. Maybe that's one where, hey, it's neck and neck between San Fran. You're up by a game, and you look at that Carolina game, and you go, hey, I can rest some starters to be fully prepared to play San Francisco, so that way we can win and get into the playoffs. I just think it's a trap game. I wouldn't be shocked also if that's an opportunity, if it's a close playoff race, to get some rest for some starters, and you end up falling to Carolina because you have Drew Lock starting at QB instead of Sam Darnold. Now, my last game, obviously, you're taking on the 49ers, starting the year exactly how you ended it, and that's with a Seattle Seahawks victory. I'm telling you, I believe that San Francisco's time has come to pass. They get hurt all the time. They're old. That wide receiving core, I don't trust any of those guys to stay healthy throughout the entire year. I just love the Hawks. I think the Hawks come out of that with a victory, end the year on a high note. They go to the playoffs with a sweet 11-6 record. One win better than last year, absolutely crushing the Vegas odd makers over under for your win total on the year. I think you make the playoffs. I would assume with 11-6, you're making the playoffs as the NFC West division winners. Getting a home game at Lumen, there's a chance. Hey, who knows? Minnesota Vikings did get a home game last year. They were a wild card team, and they had well more than 11 wins. That is all possible. If you want to hear any more of my Seattle Seahawks record predictions, in-game thoughts, I'm always on Twitter firing off. I got Twitter fingers, not trigger fingers. You can follow me at Will Ortner, or you can head over to the Instagram. Sometimes I'll get a nice reel going, and you can see my lovely face. Until next time, I'll see you later.